And I'd like to start by saying that entertainment is about relationships. Left to themselves, we all know that people will choose to collaborate, especially in this world, with people that they know well. I was thinking back of who I knew the longest in this room, and ironically, Kamala Hassan and his wife, my wife and myself, sat at Abacus here in Chennai because both our daughters were acting in a play in 1991. So sometimes you go back and it's a nice way to go up and say hi. You remember we sat together in 1991. Ronnie and I worked together in 99. I met with Hugh at a cafe in 2003. I certainly went to Mr. Paragi's office after our CII committee meeting in 2001 or 2 when we were doing the radio policy. Craig has been coming here for 14 or 15 years. Has been buying me lunch continuously. Craig, can I please buy you lunch one of these days? Karan, when did I meet you first? 99, 2000, in the dot-com time. So, you know, sorry? Absolutely. So the point is that most people that I have done business with, or my company does business with, is based on deep relationships. Technicolor is 97 years old. In fact, it had dealings with color before Eastman Kodak. And Technicolor won at least 3 Oscars for technical excellence. So the point is that if you look at today world majors, and we're going to talk about the fact that Paragi mentioned DreamWorks earlier. If you look at all of the world majors, we would basically work with each and every one of them. We'd build across different services $100, $200, $300 million year after year. And I think as much of that business comes to us for the fact that we have the relationship that we value and add value to, as for a technical ability that we might have, or some hardware or software or infrastructure we bring to the table. And so if we were to look at what we do in Bangalore, and it's a great case, it is that I think from all of the people that I know in animation in India, we work with the fewest number of people of any company in India. The total number of people that we work with as companies is less than fills one hand. Okay? And you can, in the coffee break, meet Narendra. Can you please raise your hand? Narendra Reddy is the head of the DreamWorks dedicated unit in India, and they're doing some absolutely stunning work. I encourage every one of you to go and see his movie tomorrow. It opens all over India. It's called Puss in Boots with Antonio Banderas. And a significant amount of that movie has been done in India, not because they outsourced it to themselves. They actually worked on entire sequences end to end, and that has gone into the movie along with the sequences that were done somewhere else. The work we saw on the screen, you saw some of the games work we do, is with Electronic Arts, and we work very closely with them on a lot of their artwork that goes on. That's a little bit more like an outsourcing model. Okay. The work that we do with Nickelodeon, although it's kind of an outsourcing model for Fanboy and Chum Chum, for Penguins of Madagascar, we've just had a fantastic debut because of the fact that Kung Fu Panda on television has just hit the screens in the US very successfully. But the conviction that the network had in the show was so great that we've actually finished 2 seasons of work already in Bangalore. And right now we're starting on the largest television franchise in their history, which is the Ninja Turtles in CG. So the point is that I think we are totally up to the task of doing high-end work. It's about relationships. There are a couple of other things that I'd like to just quickly table, and then we can take it in the Q&A later on. One is that it's dangerous for people to put up a business for outsourcing only. Because outside of the 3 or 4 world majors, there are very few people who place work out for pure cash. And most of the work that goes on, I'm talking at this moment in time on the animation front, I'll come back to visual effects and conversion of 3D and other services. But 70 to 80% or more of the work that happens around the world is about co-sharing, co-production, call it what you want. And every co-production deal is different. So don't ask me, please describe a co-production deal, because every deal in co-production is unique to itself. But the point is that I think this industry is a very interesting industry in that, and you talked about the IT industry earlier, you talked about BPO, KPO, etc. I don't see any resemblance between what we do and either a BPO or a KPO or any O for that matter. I actually see the outsourcing business first started in animation. Before the term outsourcing was known, before the IT industry existed, when I was 5 years old, US used to outsource animation work to Philippines. They didn't know it was called outsourcing, but they just gave it there and they paid some money and they got some work. And today, the models that we have in entertainment, which are substantially financial, partly sharing of work, partly sharing of IP, partly sharing of skills, partly sharing of all other stuff that's at the back end, okay, are models that I believe will actually, because of the economic crisis, find their way into the other industries, including the IT industry, and not the other way around. So I would advise people who are coming from traditional industries in India not to try to cookie cutter a model from there and bring it into entertainment and say that's going to scale India, quite the reverse. And there are many leaders and good companies that have already started practicing those models for 3 or 5 years, whether it's Toons in Kerala, whether it's Axel in Chennai, whether it's DQ in Hyderabad, and many others, Crest in Mumbai. They have all been now participating in the co-sharing of work for 3, 4, 5, 7 years and moving up the learning curve in terms of how that work is done. And I think it's very important not to start from scratch and try and figure out what that model is, because it exists everywhere in the world. Last 3 points. I just want to say that if I was to be asked what are the 2 or 3 things that I'd leave people to think about that you should look at if you're starting something like this. Number 1, as I said, make sure that you engage with the best of the best and you create a business model for that partnership. So if I said we have 4 or 5 partners, there is no resemblance in the business model we have between one partner and the other partner and the third partner. And the next 2 are probably likely to be quite different from the first 4 as well. The second is build a flexible and innovative operating structure. A few hundreds of companies have started and closed in the last 5 to 7 years because everything they did was fixed. They invested first in a very large fixed infrastructure. Then they went and hired everyone on a fixed salary. Then they actually started doing all kinds of things that ran up such a high bill, and that bill will keep recurring again and again. As many of my friends on the panel and the audience know, every time there is a gap between one project and another project. So I think we need to innovate and figure out ways by which, like all media and all entertainment industries, film, television, etc., you ask the lady from Balaji, you ask Ronnie, you ask anybody else, if they have 2,500 people working across all the TV shows they're doing, I would hazard a guess that probably only 20 of them are employees. And the rest are coming in as channels give them episodes, they go and ramp up people and so on and so forth. So I think this industry, no matter which part of it you participate in, you need to figure out how you can create a flexible operating structure. Third, the missing link for success in many cases has been the absence of a strong creative leadership and a strong management. You see companies that are started by people who would be CTOs. You see companies in this business started by people who are creative gurus. You see someone starting who's an entrepreneur. But actually what you need to do in order to engage with the best of the best and create content like you saw from Hugh or you saw from the wonderful talented partners that we have on the screen comes through a very strong creative leadership. It's not about, hey, Hugh and his team will be very strong creatively there. I'll just give him people in India and then he will be able to make his movie. It will not happen. It will only happen if you can have people here who can participate in that discussion, participate in that delivery, and actually add value to his thought process. It was a tremendous joy when I saw Hugh this morning talking about a couple of people. Someone was saying, hey, do you know a good guy who can do X, Y, and Z? And he was saying, well, this guy in Chennai does this, this, this. That guy over there does this, this, this. So that's really why these outcomes happen. It's a product of collaboration. And last but not the least, I just want to finish by saying that I think if there's one way to measure what this business is all about, it's what I would call the happiness quotient. The reason that we have only 3 or 4 partners and do so much work is because they are happy. It's not just about the quality. It's not about the tools that we have. It's not about the delivery that we do. It's not anything else. It's the happiness quotient. The fact that they feel their work will get done. The fact that we feel that there's going to be a steady supply of work or the money is going to come at the end of a certain period is extremely important. And I'd like to quote and finish with Mahatma Gandhi, who said that happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. So I think that, if I was to say Let's leave one measure behind. How do you make this an entertainment hub? It is, I think, that when you do transactions with each other, and ask people in Bollywood, they're not always very happy at the end of a transaction, that the happiness factor or the happiness quotient is missing. Thank you.
Thank you, Biren, for that happy